Welcome back to Across Louisiana. You know, one of the things that we benefit from here in the greater Baton Rouge area is a lively and vibrant music scene. A big part of that is the Red Dragon Listening Room. They have an exciting songwriter series coming up, and here to tell us all about it is Chris Maxwell. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
For the folks who might not be familiar with what a great asset the Listening Room is, tell them a little bit about it. Give us some background on that.
Well, Listening Room is a kind of a mini concert hall. We're not a bar. We're not a typical place that Louisiana had seen before. We stole this idea from across the country. Oklahoma City and Atlanta have listening rooms, and it's a way to present national touring acts for audiences that are there to listen to music. You don't have a lot of talking or background noise or anything. You actually get to listen to the artists and listen to their songs. And we had our own little spin on it. We started this right at 13 years ago, and we have every show opened by a Louisiana act, which is a way of getting Louisiana artists exposed to larger audiences. You know, often local artists will play very small venues just to get in front of, 6, 8 people, whatever it takes. And this is a way to get them in front of a large crowd. And usually I'm very good at picking complementary artists, so the opener is opening for somebody who's along the same lines.
Well, it's a great spot right in the middle of the city of Baton Rouge that people may or may not know about, but if they go there, I mean, these are really world-class talents that they're exposed to there, isn't that right?
It is. We've even had, Joan Baez, we've had Roseanne Cash, Rodney Crowell, Jerry Jeff Walker. I mean, a lot of people that you would consider country artists, but we call anybody who writes their own music and can perform it on stage to be a folk artist.
Absolutely. Well, I know you have the exciting Songwriter Series coming up and some new events that are associated with that. Give me some background on that.
Well, we also, after 12 years of successfully doing our shows at the Red Dragon, we talked with the Manship Theater about doing a Songwriter Series over there for slightly larger shows, and it was a great fit. They didn't have anything along those lines. They hadn't done a lot of songwriter shows in the recent years, so we started bringing in monthly shows over there, and we called it the Red Dragon Songwriter Series, capitalizing on the name that we had already built around town.
You bet.
And we started bringing in some of the coolest people around. We've had Billy Joe Shaver, we've had Joe Ely. I tell everybody, all of those country artists that have 3 names, we get them.
Well, that's obviously a great venue in its own right with very good acoustics. It's perfect for this kind of music, and that sounds like a really great example of the community kind of coming together to give something back to the folks here in Baton Rouge.
Well, the Manship has been a perfect fit for us. We're both nonprofit organizations, and the Manship supports us and we support them, and it's a synergistic kind of a relationship. We get everybody together promoting these shows, and one show promotes the next. You know, when they have a show that they need a little help on, our audience will turn out for that, and when we have a show, it's the perfect tongue and groove fitting, so to speak.
Well, I know it's great for just to preserve folk music here, everyone coming together to do that. I know you're part of the Louisiana Americana and Folk Society, and that's a big part of that as well. Tell me a little bit about that, and also tell me a little bit about some of the exciting new developments at the Listening Room.
Well, the Louisiana Americana and Folk Society is the nonprofit organization, and its sole purpose is for the advancement of folk music, and we bring in although it's the national touring acts that get the attention, we try and foster the songwriters locally. In fact, we're also helping another nonprofit organization, the Nashville Songwriters Association. We're helping them get started in town and helping them get local songwriters involved. So it's a neat way to get several different groups together, all these nonprofits. We also do food drives for the Baton Rouge Food Bank.
Outstanding. Well, it's a great organization. I know people are going to want to find out more. Tell them where they can go to find out more information about the Red Dragon Listening Room.
RedDragonLR.com.
Chris, thanks so much for coming on, telling us all about it. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having us, Nils.
Sure thing. Well, here on Across Louisiana, we always talk about the great service provided by Peak Performance Physical Therapy. They have an exciting new pelvic floor clinic. Take a look.
Pelvic floor therapy is something that lots of people don't know about or know that they can get help for. It's a very sensitive subject. People don't really like to talk about it around here, about bladder dysfunction, bowel dysfunction, or any kind of pelvic pain. but it's very common for women, especially after having babies or in the menopausal years. So having a place like this is a very comfortable place for them to come so that they can get treatment for their pelvic muscle dysfunction, and we can really work to eliminate the bladder and bowel symptoms. So at the initial evaluation, we sit and talk where the patient tells me their symptoms, I get a good medical history on the patient, and then I explain to them the function of the pelvic muscles related to their bladder or bowel dysfunction. When we come into the treatment room, we use the biofeedback technology to get a muscle reading. We watch it on the computer screen. The patient watches it with me. We analyze the muscle strength. I show the patient, this is what your strength looks like. This is what we're looking for. We also look at resting pelvic muscle tone, endurance, coordination, and we do this each time the patient comes to therapy. When they go home, they do not have the technology, obviously, but they have homework that they practice. And then once they come back, we check and compare from session to session to make sure that we're giving the right exercises and that we're improving strength from as the weeks go on.
It was a friend of Lacey's, Lauren, and she was my physical therapist. And so we discussed, I was telling her about some issues that I had, and she told me about Lacey. And I said, you know, I'd really like to try that. And she told me a little bit about it, and I had some issues that I thought Lacey would be able to help me with. And consequently, that's exactly what happened. She was able to help me with a lot of things that had been on my mind and I'd been worried about. Because I have frequent things to happen to me and I didn't want to have surgery, in other words. And so throughout this sessions that we've had, it's all worked. It's been very beneficial.
Strengthening is, I would say, only about 50% of what goes on here though. The other 50% is education. I think it's extremely important to educate the patient on how the bladder and how the pelvic muscles work together so that you can use those muscles to retrain and to eliminate the symptoms.
She gives me a lot of information that I can use at home. Everything we go through, she gives me papers that have the instructions for things that I can do at home, the exercises I can do at home, and which is really beneficial to me.
Patients really feel so much better about themselves after coming to therapy. I have lots of patients who will come in and say, I can't go anywhere without going straight to a restroom. And then they'll a few weeks later come back and say, I went to eat dinner and I didn't even have to go to the restroom the whole time I was there. That's huge.
I'm at the end of it, end of my sessions now, and everything she got me up to exactly where she wanted me to be, the percentage-wise. And so I'm good to go. I'm can graduate now. And that's what I'm going to do.
As an occupational therapist, it's a very rewarding feeling to know that you've changed someone's quality of life. And that's really what it's all about. We look at the computer a lot when we're doing our exercises and everyone says, what number do I have to, how strong do I have to be to get rid of my symptoms? And there's no set number. There's no set, if you contract your muscles and squeeze to 20 millivolts, you won't leak anymore. It's different for every single patient. It's specific to each individual. And when people are very dedicated to exercising and to and making the changes that are necessary, they see huge impacts. Their results are amazing, and they tell everybody they know now. They talk about it all the time because they feel like everybody needs to know about this place, and you've got to come to therapy. It helped me so much. For more information, you can look us up at peakphysicaltherapy.com or call us at 225-292-2526. The Peak Pelvic Floor Clinic is located on Jefferson Highway, in between Bluebonnet and Airline. I really thought that this Bluebonnet Jefferson area was a great place to be to accommodate patients coming from all parts of Baton Rouge. If you come and see us at the Peak Pelvic Floor Clinic, I promise to help improve your quality of life, make you feel comfortable, and help get your life back.
When we come back on Across Louisiana, find out about an exciting new event that's going to benefit the Mid-City Redevelopment Alliance. Don't miss it.